Hold on. I'm going to stop right now because, like, you're doing exactly the thing that doesn't actually, when we talk about following the science, what you're doing is saying, well, people are getting more vaccines and all these other things are happening. So those things are related. That's not how this works.
Folks, I cannot believe I have to talk about this again after just making a video of Marjorie Taylor Greene f***ing around and finding out for the same reason. But the facts don't care about your feeling, folks, are at it again. Because yet another MAGA Republican stooge apparently forgot that Google is free and tried to push more insane conspiratorial nonsense to the American public with no evidence whatsoever. And the latest culprit in Republicans' continued attempt to dumb down the country is MAGA mega donor Hal Lambert, who took to CNN to yet again push completely non-factual BS about connections between vaccines and autism and cancer, while defending worm-brained Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s views on the subject. And just like with Marjorie, he instantly regretted bringing it up because Abby Phillip of CNN shut him down and delivered an absolute smackdown that frankly should be mandatory viewing for imbeciles of his ilk. And before we watch him get spanked like a little girl with an abusive father like Tucker Carlson,
there has to be a point at which Dad comes home and he's pissed. You've been a bad girl. You've been a bad little girl and you're getting a vigorous spanking right now.
Let's quickly give some background on Lambert the lobotomized because he is the quintessential example of a successful, seemingly intelligent right-winger who decides to check his morals and intellect at the door when it comes to kowtowing to fascists and grifters. Hal Lambert is a Texas GOP megadonor and founder of Point Bridge Capital, an investment firm that helps high-income individuals invest in a way that aligns with their MAGA Republican values. So, you know, things like investing in big pharma while railing against vaccines, investing in major healthcare companies and polluters while railing against the Affordable Care Act and the disastrous state of health in our country. He's the kind of hypocritical asshole who would invest in a company making pickaxes for children to use in the mines and call it Toys for Tots in his portfolio. But he also uses his investment firm to make donations to right-wing MAGA nutjob candidates like Ron DeSantis, who he backed for president over Trump in the primaries. And it would sure be a shame if that were made more publicly known, don't you think? And this guy is the exact capitalist class pig that MAGA voters should be concerned with taking all their jobs and making things more expensive at their expense while siphoning their hard-earned money to his clients. But because he and the rest of the MAGA representatives are oh so good at trickling down the stupidity to the empty headspace where maggots' brains should be, they will listen to what he says in the next clip and see nothing wrong with it. And even though it won't make a difference in Moronville, we at least have Abby Phillip to thank for this cathartic smackdown she delivered. Take a listen.
We keep saying science and data. I think he is looking at data, and he's concerned about the health of our kids, which are more obese than ever, have higher diabetes rates than ever, and are getting more vaccines than ever. And yet there's autism's up over the last 25 years. All of these things, our kids are less healthy, but we have a lot more vaccines. And so I think his point is both on the food side, which is obviously a problem on the obesity side, on the vaccine side is, are we more healthy than we were 25 years ago or 30 years ago when we had far fewer vaccines that were going around for kids that were mandated?
Hold on. I'm going to stop right now because, like, you're doing exactly the thing that doesn't actually, when we talk about following the science, what you're doing is saying, well, people are getting more vaccines and all these other things are happening. So those things are related. That's not how this works. Vaccines don't cause autism.
Well, but they haven't done the studies on the vaccines.
I think if you actually wanted to know about the leading cause of killers for children, it was actually gun violence. So if you actually want to solve the problem of like what makes our children unhealthy and unsafe, let's actually focus on that. But we don't.
I mean, you can talk about food and all of that stuff, but the idea that you're just taking the fact that we are now vaccinating ourselves against diseases that could kill us and saying that that's causing obesity and people being unhealthy.
No, I'm saying overall health, the overall health. And that's both sides of what he's talking about in Congress.
What proof is there that there's any connection between those two things? Well, that vaccines are causing us overall as a population, at the population level, to be less healthy.
Well, what Robert Kennedy said was that cancer rates are higher.
Okay,
and specific cancer rates are higher. That's what he's talking about. I mean, and his point is not that you shouldn't get vaccines. He's saying, why are we not studied? Is there a relationship with that?
Well, before you decide to tell people that cancer is related to vaccines, don't you think you should have evidence of that first?
Well, he's looking at data, and I agree with you.
Oh, don't worry, folks. RFK Jr. is looking at the data, and he is surely one to take that data seriously.
You went to Samoa. You convinced people not to get the measles vaccine. An outbreak resulted in 83 deaths.
Yeah, well, that story is not true.
It's just too bad that brainworm is dead, because in this case, 2 heads would surely be better than 1.
And I agree with you. There should be evidence of it. And I think he's arguing that we should go look for the evidence.
Shouldn't you start
if it's there or not?
Instead of saying, well, I don't know, but it might happen, might be the case. Isn't it the more responsible thing to say, we actually don't know if there's any connection between those 2 things at all, as opposed to scaring people based on conjecture alone? That's irresponsible.
Well, I think he is saying that now. He is saying that we need to study this, and he doesn't know for certain that that's the case. I think he said that in that clip.
I think a couple of things are going to happen after this few-week period here. When he gets to the table and has to go under oath, he's going to get asked very direct and pointed questions. And it's no flip thing to put your hand up and say, I'm telling you the truth, and then answer those questions, because not only do they hold you to it that day, they hold it to you as you do the job, because you ultimately got to come back and have oversight hearings.
Right, the sham Republican Oversight Committee. The same people who tried to impeach Joe Biden on false pretenses and used a witness that turned out to be a Russian asset. Those are the morons we trust to vet the people in charge of our nation's health and our government agencies. We are so
I also think it's important for us to remember, why are we here at all in this moment where people are questioning the public health regime? And it is all out of COVID. Everything comes from COVID. Things we were told that weren't true, things about the vaccine that we were told that weren't true. This has caused people, in the past, folks might have just accepted this sight unseen. Now, I think it's legitimate for Americans to say, are we being told the absolute truth by the supposed experts? I don't have a problem with those questions.
I'm old enough to remember hydroxychloroquine and the horse tranquilizer and all that stuff. I mean, those things weren't true either. Okay, so let's be honest about the fact that there was misinformation.
If that ain't putting it lightly. And look, kudos to Abby Phillips for shutting that man down and flat out telling him, you're not just wrong, you're stupid. But on the flip side of that coin, why the f*** are we still giving these people the time of day? Why are we putting them on national television? Why are we talking about RFK Jr.'s worm brain ideas about health in this country when he says shit like this?
If your kids were young now, would you give them the measles, the mumps vaccine?
No.
You still say that autism is caused by vaccines?
Yeah, autism is caused by vaccines. And by...
Until we dismantle piece by piece the MAGA stupidity propaganda machine, we will be fighting a losing battle. It is not enough anymore to just call these people out and point out the facts and list them. In my opinion, the only way forward is to make them look like the morons they are, to ridicule them, to point out their hypocrisy with humor, with strong and fervent rhetoric that allows us to topple their regime by brutally exposing it. The time for politeness and dinner table manners and these morally superior demeanors is long gone. And the mainstream media propping it up is the reason it has and will continue to fail. So if you appreciate a little candor, a little humor, and the truth, and not taking these MAGA morons at face value and instead attacking and dissecting their moronic arguments, then please drop a like on the video, subscribe to the Really American channel, because that is what we believe in here. With that said, for Really American, I'm Kenny Hesse. I'll see you all in the next one.